this is ninth lit, and we're talking about the paper due tomorrow. I don't have it in front of me, but remember, do you have any questions? Okay, yes, sir.
What is the maximum word count?
Maximum is I didn't give you one. So the minimum was, what was it, 500? Yeah. Frankly, I think we didn't mention this, but if it's too much longer than 500 words, there might be a lot of, you're telling me what happened. You know, you can tell me what happens in 2 or 3 sentences. That's not what the paper's about. The paper's about is analyzing it in terms of what's the major theme. That would be one thing. Or, why did I really like it? Or, why should you really read it? Or, why is this important? You pick it. You decide. That's what you're telling me about the book based on this position you're taking. This was one of the best books I ever read, and I'm going to give you 3 reasons why. Paragraph 2, the first body. I'm going to give you 1 reason. The entire paragraph will be 1 reason. A different reason, and my juniors even have trouble with this. Sometimes what I'll get is the same reason said 3 different ways. It's really good, paragraph 1. It's wonderful, paragraph 2. It's great, paragraph 3. You know, you're just basically saying the same thing in all 3 paragraphs. So you need to talk about, say, the characters are really good, and then maybe the setting is really good, and then maybe the narration or the action is really good. You know, so 3 distinct reasons why I should read this book. You know, you're like a salesman or a lawyer presenting a case. That's every time you write, you're trying to convince, no matter what, even if it's fiction or poetry, you're trying to convince the person reading it that you've got something to say. You know, grab them by the collar figuratively and listen to me. I got something to say. That's how your writing should just jump off the page and grab somebody, hold them, and say, you're going to sit here and read this. So you want to be very persuasive. Yes.
I forgot if you said this, but do you want us to turn it in online or in person?
Hand, yeah, hard copy until further notice, which there won't be. That's the way we'll do it. Yes.
Do we have to present this?
You have to sit there and talk about it. Like, what are those 3 reasons? I mean, I hadn't even thought of which book I would talk about yet. The latest book I read, I can think of 3 reasons why I like it without even, I don't have to have anything in front of me. I can tell you 3 reasons. I like, you know, I just told you, I like the characters. I like the setting. I like the action. I can tell you all those 3 and give you examples of all that. Yeah.
Are we turning it online?
No, hand, write it out. Type it, not write it, type it. Remember, we did say that. The word type was not on the assignment, but you're hearing me, I know. You have to type it, yes.
So for like the 3 reasons, if I were to say like I liked the message of it, would that be a reason, or would that be kind of like I talk about the message in like the conclusion?
Did you hear Rebecca's question? She's basically telling me the theme, like this is the message, the theme, the main idea, and there are 3 reasons why I like it.
Okay, so I could have those 2 paragraphs on like the message of it.
That's right, and you're giving me 3 distinct reasons why you like that. 3 things you want to say about that message.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what if, so I did my thesis statement and then I took the 3 points in my thesis statement and I put them in each like 3 paragraphs after that.
1 each, right?
So that counts as like talking about that?
Yeah, now you're kind of vague right now. What
Like,
did you say about the book?
Let's say one of my points was, like loss of freedom to uphold the rules of society, something in innocence. And like, let's say that was like, I did a paragraph about that and I added a quote and then I was like, you should read this because like that. Would that be like a right paragraph or do I have to, okay, I can't do this. Do I have to put the part about like why is it important? How does the author attract like the readers? Like, do I have to put those questions in the paragraphs?
I don't want to put words in your mouth. I don't want to tell you something you didn't ask, but you're saying this is an important book. You're saying you should read this. Is that kind of your approach? Somebody should read this? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. 3 reasons why they should read it. If you want to repeat that 3 times, that's kind of tedious, but you know, you could say another reason why you should read it. a third reason why you should read it. You could say it that way.
Okay.
And then, but make sure, this is really hard, as I said, for even the juniors sometimes. Are those three different reasons? Or are they just the same reason? You need to make sure that you have three distinct things that you want to say about it. Yeah, hang on. Anything else about the paper? Type tomorrow, talk about it, try to keep it around 500. Because the longer it is, the more time it takes me to read it. And I have already a bunch of things to read. So that's another, it's for me as much as anything. You're not asked to do 1,000 words. If I asked for 1,000 words, then you would have had to do 1,000. I'm asking for 500, not wanting 1,000. If I'd wanted 1,000, I'd have asked for it.
I'm
So
kinda closing in on 1,000. I'm on like
that's twice as long as that.
I'm on 824 right now.
It's what?
I'm on 824 halfway through.
Okay, well, see, that's you've exceeded that maximum. It's just gonna take me longer to read it than I really wanna take, given, again, if a teacher asks you for 500, don't give them 2,000. Or
Some of
even,
my examples from the book are a little bit long. I'm trying to condense them.
that's a good idea, to just, now, examples is easier to me, it's easier to read than other things, as long as you're on the topic. Still, you need to,
I can.
yeah.
Do we have like a citation page? I mean, I know we're just using the book.
Yeah, you should, that's usually the case, but but you're only using that one book.
Right.
You've told me that in the paper
In
somewhere.
the paper, like
So,
I
right.
read Jane Eyre.
At least quote it, if you're using quotes with
Oh,
a
yeah.
page number. There.
Or, and also the author's last name, right? So I would say like Bronte page.
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, can you repeat? So are we doing a works cited page?
No,
Well, you only have
I
one
mean,
book.
it's only one book.
if you reference
That's
the
true.
author and the title of the
Right.
book in the paper.
Right, you've already basically given me the information about the book at the beginning. Yeah, go ahead. All right, go ahead and get out your book. Beowulf, since we probably won't spend a lot of time tomorrow on it, let's spend some time today. Let's see, this is A, so you're on page 21? That's not right. Is that right? Page 21? So we have not making up, we're not behind, it's just, I guess it's 286, is that right? So it's halfway down the page on page 21? Okay, unless you tell me otherwise, that's where we'll start.
Wait, 21 you said?
That's what I said, that
Okay.
that's about 6 pages under what everybody else has, so I just wondered if I was wrong with that. All right, so it's been a long time, but Beowulf is now in Gotland. He's not in Gotland, he's in Denmark. And he has come with his 14 warriors, and they are remember, he just promised in his confidence, he just promised the Coast Guard, if anybody can do it, I can do it. If it can be done, I can get rid of this guy. So I'm gonna start at Undaunted. I'll read a little bit here. Okay. And the question should be close by. All right, Undaunted, sitting astride his horse, the Coast Guard answered, anyone with gumption, you know what gumption is? Common sense, kind of initiative, get up and go. Anyone with gumption and a sharp mind will take the measure of 2 things, what's said and what's done. I believe what you have told me, that you are a troop loyal to our king. So come ahead with your arms and your gear, and I will guide you. What's more, I'll order my own comrades on their word of honor to watch your boat down there on the strand. Keep her safe in her fresh tar until the time comes for her curved prow to preen on the waves, and bear this hero back to Geatland. May one so valiant and venturesome come unharmed through the battle clash. Reagan, welcome back. Say hey to. Please see me if you have any questions about things that you need. But do you mind reading right here? I know you weren't here last week.
Yeah, where?
Yeah, we're at the bottom of page 21. What, can you wait till he gets back? Okay, take care of it. So it's page 21, yeah. Yeah, you're,
Okay, how far are you?
I'm just over to the next page.
Okay, so they went on their way. The ship rode the water, broad beamed, bound by its hawser, and anchored fast. Four shapes flash above their cheek guards, the brightly floored work of goldsmiths watching over those stern-faced men. They marched and stepped, hurrying until the timbered hall rose before them, radiant with gold. Nobody on earth knew of another building like it. Majesty lodged there, its light shone over many lands. So their gallant escort guided them to that dazzling stronghold and indicated the shortest way to it. Then the noble warrior wheeled on his horse and spoke these words: "It is time for me to go. May the Almighty Father keep you, and in His kindness watch over your exploits. And I'm away to the sea, back on the alert against enemy raiders."
And I think I've suggested, it'd be great if at least you made an effort to begin to circle every time you see God's name. So here's an epithet, Almighty Father. It says in His kindness, He refers to Him there. All right, Andrew, would you pick it up there? Then a proud warrior.
Sorry, did you say all of it?
Where did you stop? Oh, it was a paved track. Isn't that where you stopped, Ray?
Yeah, it was a paved track. Page 23, left.
That's all right.
So you want me to start on page?
Line 320.
Yeah.
Alright. It was a paved track path that kept them in marching order. Their mail shirts glistened, hard in handling. The high gloss iron on their armor ring. So they newly arrived in their trim war grass and gear at the hall, and wary from the sea, stacked wide shields of the toughest hardwood against the wall. Then collapsed on their benches, battle dressed and weapons clashed. They collected their spears in the steeper soot, and stand of grayish taper of ash, and the troops themselves were good as their weapons.
Thank you. Leah, would you start there with a proud warrior?
Yes.
By the way, they are at Herod. You remember what Herod is?
The giant needle.
That's right. That's where Grendel shows up every night to take charge. But it's not nighttime. This is daytime. Yeah.
Then a proud warrior questioned the men concerning their origins. Where do you come from, carrying these decorated shields and strips of mail, these cheap hinged helmets and javelins? I'm Hrothgar's herald and officer. I've never seen so impressive or large an assembly of strangers. Stoutness of heart, bravery without banishment must have brought you to Hrothgar.
You can write the name Wolfgar. I'll write on the board Wolfgar. Write it now. He's not an important character, but he does speak. Remember I told you there were 10 characters speak, and 4 of them are minor characters. The Coast Guard was a minor character. This guy is a minor character. He works for Hrothgar. All right, so Jackson.
The man whose name is known for courage, the great leader, resolute in his coming, answered in return. We are retainers for, how do you say that name? Hygelak, Bane. Beowulf is my name. If your lord and master, the most renowned son of Halfdane, will hear me out and graciously allow me to meet him in person, I am ready and willing to report my errand.
I don't think this is a question. What would you say about Beowulf's words? Like, how did he address this guy?
A great time.
Yeah, he fits the picture of a prince. He knows he's educated. He's well spoken. John Carter.
Wolfgar replied, "A Wendell chief renowned as a warrior, well known for his wisdom and the temper of his mind. I will take this message in accordance with your wish to our noble king and dear lord and friend of the Danes, the giver of rings. I will go and ask him about your coming here, then hurry back with whatever reply it pleases him to give."
Again, something else that you can write down in your book. I don't know, you need to get in the habit of just doing it naturally, but here at the beginning, I want to remind you, for instance, you could have put Wolfgar next to that passage that he spoke, so you'll know who's talking. I would recommend you do that. Here, you can circle our noble king, our dear lord, friend of the Danes, the giver of rings. That's 4 epithets that describe Hrothgar. Yes.
What does friend of the Danes mean? What is that?
Danes are a family, right?
Well, I'm sorry, Danes are the people that live in Denmark.
Oh.
Denmark people are called Danes.
But isn't that like referring to God? Like
Let's look at the context. This guy Wolfgar replies, "I will take this message and according to your wish to," now who does Beowulf want to see?
A king.
Hrothgar. So he says, "To our noble king, our dear lord." Now it doesn't have a capital L. Friend of the Danes, the giver of rings. Circle particularly giver of the rings. What does that tell you about Hrothgar? What does that tell you about the way people viewed their king? He was a giver of rings. He gave us stuff.
generous.
He's generous. He's a treasure giver. I hate to tell you, but that things haven't really changed. Many politicians get elected every 2 years for like in perpetuity. You know what I mean by that? Like forever. Like there've been some people up there have been up there 50 years. They keep getting reelected. Some people think we ought to have term limits. Like you need to serve 4 years and you're out of here. They do that with presidents. I can serve 8 years, but with senators and but one reason they get reelected is because they give away stuff. Not their own money, but they go up there and they pass a bill. I think I'll give Guilford County $1 billion to create a subway system. That would be silly. We have fewer and fewer people ride the bus. But that's how, wow, let's reelect him because he keeps bringing money. It's the same principle. It goes all the way back to the Middle Ages. You're going to like the person that gives you stuff. And here it's the giver of the rings. Man, you want him to stay in there because he keeps giving us things. Yeah.
Well, you always want the person who does what you want, says like, I'll give you this, 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 and this.
Yes.
And like, you know.
Totally.
Gives you stuff and says what you want to hear.
It's
you know?
just human nature, isn't it? It's just the way we are wired. So anyway, those are epithets. Underline them and note that they're right in the margin, epithets, as well as you could say treasure giver, because that's good kings give things away. Why don't we go to Mariah?
With that he turned to where Hrothgar sat, an old man among retainers. The valiant follower stood foursquare in front of his king. He knew the courtesies. Wolfgar addressed his dear lord. People from Geatland have put ashore. They have sailed far over the wide sea. They call the chief in charge of their band by the name of Beowulf. They beg, my lord, an audience with you, exchange of words and formal greeting. Most gracious Hrothgar, do not refuse them, but grant them a reply. From their arms and appointment, they appear well born and worthy of respect, especially the one who has led them this far. He is formidable indeed.
11 is an interesting question. I didn't put these together years ago. I think they're really good, and the teacher that put them together is not here anymore, but I really appreciate her doing it. I think she's asking a really interesting question. The request that Hrothgar, what is the request that Wolfgar makes of Hrothgar? Yes.
To have an audience with the Geatland.
Okay, what do you think that request tells us about Hrothgar, the king's leadership style? Where he feels comfortable enough to say, I think this guy's worth talking to, these guys are worth talking to. What does it say about his leadership style?
He's kind.
He is kind, yeah,
humble, kind of, because he could talk to people
yeah.
like that, like humble himself in order to talk to people. It sounds like what you were saying. I don't exactly know that.
No, that's correct. He's not an absolute dictator. Nobody tells me what to do. I'll make that decision. He listens to advice. That's what you want. You want leaders who, they're getting other people's advice. They have to make the decision. The buck stops here, so to speak. But they do listen to others. So, Zach, at the door.
Hrothgar, protector of Shieldings, replied, I used to know him when he was a young boy. His father before him was called Ecgtheow. Hrethel the Geat gave Ecgtheow his daughter in marriage. This man is their son, here to follow up an old friendship. A crew of seamen who had sailed for me once with a gift cargo across to Geatland returned with marvelous tales about him. A thane, they declared, with the strength of 30 in the grip of each hand. Now holy God has, in his goodness, guided him here in the West Danes to defend us from Grendel. This is my hope, and for his heroism, I will recompense him with their rich treasures. Go immediately, bid him and the geese he has in attendance to assemble and enter. Say moreover, when you speak to them, they are welcome to Denmark.
All right, so I didn't ask you this question, but I want to ask it anyway. I want you to know it. What does Hrothgar reply to Wulfgar about Beowulf? Beowulf. Yeah.
When it says, I used to know him when he was his father before him was called Ecgtheow.
Yes.
So he like knew his father.
Yes. So he actually knows about Beowulf. This isn't the first time some complete stranger shows up. He actually's heard of him, and because he knew his father. Notice what he says might be the motivation. He says, this man is their son, here to follow up an old friendship. So, yeah, he's admitting that Beowulf is here because I knew his father. And what does he promise? Oh, he tells us he's got the grips of 30 men in each hand. So he's very strong. Notice again, that's going to be important later in the story. His hands are really strong. And he says he's going to pay him well if he can do this. He's going to pay him off. So, let's see, we just did that, right? So, Huck, would you read at the door of the hall?
At the door of the hall, Wulfgar duly delivered the message. My lord, the conquering king of the Danes, bids me announce that he knows your ancestry, also that he welcomes you here to Hira, and salutes your arrival from across the sea. You are free now to move forward to meet Hrothgar in helmets and armor, but shields must stay here and spears be stacked until the outcome of the audience is clear.
So they're not absolutely, totally 100% trusting these guys. You don't take a loaded pistol in the Oval Office.
Right.
You got to take it out, leave it to the Secret Service guy. So yeah, you can go in, but you better leave those daggers and knives and swords out here. All right, so here's the meeting. Alan, you can read all of this or half of it.
All right. It is starting at the door of the hall, right?
We're on page 29.
Oh, okay.
The hero arose.
Oh, all right. The hero arose, surrounded closely by his powerful thanes. A party remained under orders to keep watch on the arms. The rest proceeded, led by their friends under Herod's roof. And standing on the hearth in webbed links that the smith had woven, the fine forged mesh of his gleaming mail shirt, resolute in his helmet, Beowulf spoke. Greetings to Hrothgar. I'm Hygelac's kinsman, one of his hall troop. When I was younger, I had great triumphs. Then news of Grendel hard to ignore, reached me at home. Sailors brought stories of the plight you suffer in this legendary hall, how it lies deserted, empty and useless once the evening light hides itself under heaven's dome. So every elder and experienced councilman among my people supported my resolve to come here to you, King Hrothgar, because all knew my awesome strength. They had seen me bolter in the blood of enemies when I battled and bound 5 beasts. raided a troll nest and in the night sea slaughtered sea brutes. I have suffered extremes and avenged the Geats. Their enemies brought it upon themselves and devastated them. Now I mean to be a match for Grendel, settle the outcome in single combat.
All right, that's good. Let's get the whole picture here. So why don't we go to Pilar? He's giving his resume orally, verbally to Hrothgar. He says, "This is what I've done." And so let's read the whole thing, and then we'll talk about it.
Alright, and so my request, O King of bright things, dear Prince of the Shieldings, friend of the people, and the ring of defense, my one request is that you won't refuse me, who have come this far, the privilege of purifying your robes. With my own men to help me and nobody else. I have heard, moreover, that the monster scorns in his reckless ways to use weapons. Therefore, to heighten Hygelac's fame and gladden his heart, I hereby renounce sword and the shelter of the broad shield. The heavy war board, hand to hand, is how it will be a life and death fight with the fiend. Whichever one death fells, must deem it a just judgment by God. If Grendel wins, it will be a gruesome day. He will glut himself on the beasts in the war hall, swoop without fear on the flower of manhood, as on others before. And my face won't be there to be covered with death. He will carry me away as he goes to ground, gorged and bloody. He will run gloating with my raw corpse, and feed on it alone in a cruel frenzy, fouling his moor nest. No need then to lament for a wrong or lay up my body. If the battle takes me, send back this breast rubbing that Wieland fashioned. And Hathor gave me to Lord It goes ever as fate must.
All right, just look at the last question on the page, 12. How would you describe his speech? How might a reaction be affected by the times in which we live? So what does Beowulf tell Hrothgar about himself?
I mean, he's pretty awesome.
He says he battled 5 beasts, raided a troll nest in the night sea, slaughtered sea beasts. He avenged the Geats. And he thinks he can do the same here. So he knows how to fight. He gave some examples. How is he going to fight?
With his fists, so no weapons.
Right, no weapons, because Grendel doesn't use weapons, so I'm not going to use them. See how, what is it, the chivalry of the period? That hadn't been invented yet, but chivalry, if he's not going to use them, I'm not going to use them. What do we know about Beowulf's hands?
They're strong as 30 men.
Right, so he's pretty comfortable that his hands can take care of Grendel. So we will stop here. We're going to run out of time. 9:50. There's a break here. Remember, tomorrow you're going to talk to us, so be prepared. You're going to talk to us tomorrow about your book, so be prepared. And then study for your quiz for Friday. Don't leave quite yet.
Should we start that?
Yes, please.